We have this order here given to us, and it says it's 2.1 grams IV every 8 hours, and it's for this child. The child weighs 95 pounds. And we notice there's a drug reference because since we are talking about children, there's usually a recommendations that's safe, because just because a child is 12, not all 12-year-olds are the same weight or height or whatever it may be. And so therefore, what's good for one 12-year-old may not be good for another one. So it is good to always read the insert and the special instructions to make sure. And if we notice in the instructions, it said IM, intramuscular, but it said also or IV. Sometimes the doctor may say every 6 hours and the insert says every 8 hour or every 4 hours to every 6 hours. Then that means you got to figure out which one it works for. So the order doesn't always line up as far as the every so many hours because it may have more than one option. So definitely read. And in this case here, you see it has more than one option as far as the injection goes. Okay, so it talks about infants and children who weigh or who is 50 to 100 milligrams per kilogram per day. And now please forgive me, I just misspoke on that. It is for infants and children. Okay, the safe recommendation is 50 to 100 milligrams per kilograms per day. And it says it's divided in every 8 hours. Now, again, sometimes you might see it say every 4 hours to every 6 hours to 8 hours, and you just got to figure out which one. All right. Then it has a statement. It says it has a maximum safe allowance for this drug is 6 grams per 24 hours. So this is telling me that the maximum amount this child can take in a 24-hour period. So here's another statement we can actually solve for as well. Just to make sure, even though the doctor says they can take it every 8 hours, we don't want to exceed the maximum amount allowed in 24 hours. So you got to watch out for that. So the question is this order safe? Well, we're going to have to do some work to determine if this order is safe. First things first, we notice the patient is 95 pounds. We notice the recommendations in kilograms. So let's take this 95 pounds here and let's convert it to kilograms. Well, we know for every 1 kilogram, that's 2.2 pounds. Now we can set this up in formula method, which is D over H times Q, which means desired over half times quantity. And, or we can set it up to dimensional analysis. I'm going to just do the formula method because in this case here, all we have is the patient's weight versus this. But remember, the patient's weight always goes on top. So now what part of this is H and Q? Well, the part that's H is the part we want to reduce here. And then Q is what we want in the outcome. So I got 2.2 on bottom times that 1 kilogram. And since we are talking about patient's weight, now when you get in the program, they may tell you not to round on the patient's weight until, or round up to 4 decimal places, or don't round until we got the total number at the end. In this class here, I'm just following the book. The book says round to the nearest tenth. So that's what we're going to do. Just note that as long as you know how to round and you understand the rules and guidelines, no matter where you go, you'll be able to make those adjustments. So I got 95 divided by 2.2. That gives me 43.2 kilograms. So we got the patient's kilograms. Now what I need to do is I notice that it says every 8 hours, and it said it here too as well. And what we're going to do first is we're going to solve for minimum per day. So we can work on the 8 hours here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my patient, the 43.2 kilograms, and I'm going to put it over 1, and I'm going to multiply it by, and it said minimum, so we're going to go with the 50 first. I got 50 milligrams over kilogram per day. And now I can go like this, kilogram and kilograms reduced. So I set that up right. Now I got milligrams per day. And now all I need to do is take that 43.2 times 50. And that gives me 2160 milligrams per day. Now, we're not going to say that because it says 6 grams per 24 hours. So if you want to check this out right quick, what we can do is come right over here, because so this is the answer to that question. But I can go ahead and come over here and check it. Well, what do I know about grams to milligrams? Well, I know for every 1 gram, it's 1,000 milligrams, right? So now I know this is 6,000 milligrams. This is the max in a 24-hour time frame, right? So this tells me that the minimum is a good minimum, right, for this patient. So now let's figure out the minimum dosage. So I'm going to just take this number here because I already got it per day. And what I notice is that I need it per dose. Whoops. Let's write our units in the right place. All right. It says every 8 hours. So if I wanted to, I'm going to do a little sidebar on this. I know 24 hours is in a day. And if I take it and do every 8 hours, and I'm going to multiply that by 1 dose, because it says, let me erase over here right quick. So it says that every 8 hours, they're going to take 1 dose. So it's every 8 hours per dose. So knowing that, I can set this formula up here. My H is reduced. My 8 goes into itself once, goes in 24 3 times. That means I have what? 3 doses in a day. Because that's what 24 hours is a day. So I know in 1 day, they're going to take 3 doses. So now what I'm going to do is divide that 2160 by 3. And it says 720 milligrams per dose. All right. That's our minimum per dose, it says, for this patient. I'm going to come over here to the side. Well, we'll save that for last. Okay. Let's just come back up here. Now let's do maximum milligrams per day. So if I do that, let's take our patient's weight. And I'm going to multiply that here by the 100 milligrams per kilogram per day. So now I got what? 43.2 times 100 gives me 4320 milligrams per day. That's that answer. And it's still safe because look, the maximum amount is 6,000 that they can take in a day. I mean, a maximum amount allowance period is 6,000 in a day, but this patient here recommended they don't need to take that much, of course. So now I want to see the maximum dose for that patient. I'm going to take this one here, the 4320 milligrams per day. I'm going to multiply it because like it says every 8 hours in 1 day, there's 3 doses. So let's divide that by 3. It says 1440 milligrams per dose. Still doesn't, and this is the maximum, so it still doesn't exceed the maximum amount per dose. So we're good. Now what I need to do is, in order to tell you if the order is safe, so I'm going to clean this up so you can see my writing right quick. In order for me to tell you if this order is safe, what am I going to do? I am going to take what the doctor ordered, and it is 2.1 grams. Let's convert it to milligrams because that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about milligrams. So I know for every 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. I'm going to multiply it by 1,000 milligrams. You know, what does that give me? You can use the shorthand if you know the shorthand when multiplying by ones and zeros. It gives me 2,100 to move the decimal on milligrams every per dose, because it said every 8 hours, right? So it's per dose. If it said daily up here in the instructions, that would be different, but it didn't say daily. It said every 8 hours. Okay, so it is per dose. So this is telling me that the patient is to take up to 2,100 milligrams per dose. So what we're going to do is determine, did the doctor make a safe order? So we're going to look at the maximum safe dose and the minimum safe dose. And the reason why I say that, go ahead and include the minimum here, is because I'm going to tell you here in just a minute. Okay. So if it's below, if the order is less than the minimum, means it may not be effective. So you may want to go back and just clarify as to why. And the patient may have a really low tolerance, or may have other medication they're on, whatever the reason may be. It just means it just may not be effective. However, we're going to take the order, which we said up there is 2,100 milligrams, and we're going to make sure that it's less than or equal to the max. Well, the max was 1,440 milligrams. As long as the order is less than or equal to the maximum recommendation, then this order is safe. And I agree, the order is 2,100. It's less than the maximum. So yes, this order is safe for this patient. Clean me up some space to write, because you always want to make a statement. This order is safe for this patient.